Hello everyone and welcome back to Brooksburk Zoo. We are almost finished with our zoo. You can see here on the right side, right next to Brooksburk Castle, there's not that much space left anymore. And after today's episode, the space is going to be a little bit tinier. First of all, I thought that we would not be able to see a new episode of Brooksburk Zoo today because I had so much time invested in the new project that I'm doing right now. You guys know that we finished Litchfield Zoo and I started with something new. I'm going to do a kind of a DLC series, so we are building smaller parks by only using all of the items that we got with one of the DLCs and only for the animals that we do have in that DLC. So I'm going to start with the Arctic DLC, which is going to be a small park called Glacier Glades, where I'm building only using all of the items that we do have in the base game and the items from the Arctic DLC, and only for the animals that we do have in the Arctic DLC, which is the polar bear, the polar wolf, I think. Yeah, it's the polar wolf, and it is also, let me think about it, it's the reindeer and the Dall sheep. So only 4 animals are going to take place in this little park that I'm going to build, which also gives me the possibility to go a lot more into detail, and I'm planning to do this as well because we would not be anxious about performance reasons or something like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the new series and also for all the other smaller parks that are coming in the future. But as I said, it took me so much time that I almost didn't have any time left for Brooksburk. So it is Sunday right now when I'm recording the voiceover, and I'm doing this build here last minute. But that doesn't mean that I didn't take any effort or that I didn't take any time to create something very nice for today's episode. I indeed did, but you guys judge for yourself if you're happy with what I'm doing right here. The plan was, I told you in the last episode, that we are going to do the extension of our capybara habitat, so that we are going to extend it with a combined habitat for the Mande Wolf and the giant Anteater. But as I was opening the park and having a look at it, I thought it would make definitely more sense to do something with the round shape that we did in the last episode. But before I continue with telling you guys what it's going to be and what I'm planning to do, this is the perfect time for you guys to hit the like button and to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any further episodes on Brooksburk Zoo and all the other new stuff that is coming in the future to my channel. So, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and here we are back in the game. So, as I told you guys, I thought that it would have made more sense to go back to the round shape that we did in the last episode. That didn't make sense at that time because you guys didn't know what we are going to do here and what I had planned in my head. But this round shape should be something like an aviary. Not for birds, because you guys know, old story, we don't have that much birds and only flightless birds in the game so far, so not for birds. But as we are in the South America area, I wanted to have some monkeys in here because we don't have that many monkeys in the park. Yeah, for sure, we do have the lemurs in the Madagascar house. We also do have the lar gibbon in our historical part of the zoo, but I wanted to have something in the South America area as well, and so I wanted to have a habitat for the capuchin monkeys, and I wanted it to be somewhat connected between the left side of our South America Pantanal habitat that we are going to connect with the giant anteaters and the Mande Wolves in the next episode. We're definitely going to do that in the next episode. So we have this centerpiece here, which is the aviary for the monkeys, and we're going to have something like an island here, which I'm creating right now, where the monkeys can get out of their aviary and step onto that island, and our visitors can see them, without the glass pieces or the mesh fence pieces in between. So that was the plan for this right here. I think in the last episode I had some different plans because I wanted it all to be combined in some kind of way, but then I thought, it might not work out because of the working zones, and especially for the habitats and for the habitat gates. As long as we are only allowed to have one habitat gate per habitat, it wouldn't work out, because we would have to have one habitat where we have all the food enrichments and all the feeding platforms in there, and where all the animals meet to have their food. That is something that that doesn't sound right to me and doesn't make sense to me, because usually when you have bigger habitats or habitats where the animals can use to connect with each other and also have parts of their habitat which they can only use for themselves. I lost my point. What did I want to say? If you have some habitats like this where the animals can get to connect with each other, and you also do have parts of the habitat where the animals can only use for themselves, and maybe to avoid some stress and have some alone time in there, then this habitat where they can have some alone time for themselves is always the habitat in which they also can have their food without being stressed or have to take care that that none of the other animals in there are disturbing them when they are having their food. So I didn't want to have this giant feeding area for all of the animals. This just didn't make sense, and so I decided we're going to have that little island for the capuchin monkeys that is right next to the big Pantanal habitat, but it is not connected to that. So to make it look a little bit more zoo-ish, I used the concrete pieces to give the whole island a little more like a man-made touch, I think. And as I built the whole aviary thing, I thought that I forgot about something. Because we need to have an entrance in here as well, and our keepers have to be able to go into the aviary. So I had to delete some of the glass pieces again and put in some of the plaster pieces, so that our keepers are able to have an entrance in here and can walk into the aviary and feed our animals. Once again, for you guys to notice, we do have two separate areas here. I'm repeating this in almost every episode, or in every episode that I'm doing something like this. You always have to take care of something very important if you're doing it like this, if you have two separate areas in your habitat. Two separate areas in, I mean, when your keepers are not able to reach both parts of the habitat. So we do have the aviary, where we do have the entrance gate in there where the keepers can go into and take care of the animals, clean the habitat, put some food down there, fill up all the food enrichment items and stuff like that. And we do have the outside habitat, which is going to be the island, which the keepers can't go into, because if they want to go into that, they have to use all the climbing pieces that we're going to build in a few minutes and climb out to the island, and our keepers aren't going to do that for sure. So here's the thing: if you build something like this, it is no problem at all, but you have to take care that you would only be able to put all the food enrichment items and feeding platforms inside the area or on the area where your keepers can go to. So for this example here, we can only put all the food enrichment items and feeding platforms on the inside of the aviary and none of them outside on the island, because our keepers are not able to walk outside the aviary. So it is no problem if you have any toy enrichments or stuff like that on the outside, and it is also no problem for the animals pooping out there. The habitat will get cleaned on the outside. It won't cause any problems for you guys as long as you take care that the food enrichments and the feeding platforms, I'm going to repeat it again and again, are on the inside habitat or the habitat that your keepers can reach and go to. There's that. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, I'm taking care of all the climbing needs of our animals. So I wanted to have something where they can also go into, hide away a little bit, having a nap, and yeah. So I built some little huts for the animals in the style that I always do when I do some buildings. So we have some, what is the word again? We have some support pieces here with the small climbing frames, and I wanted to have it look a little bit natural, so I used these tree bark pieces here, which look pretty good. And I should have used those for the raccoon habitat in Litchfield, I think. I always forget about these pieces, but they are really, really nice. So I'm also using the wall pieces from the Oceania pack, which look pretty nice and make sense for our little huts, to close them up on at least 2 sides. We're going to have that on 3 sides as well later on in here. And I'm using the artificial trees, this faux trees or fake trees or whatever you would call them. Coloring them in a nice brown tone. I hope it is brown and not a red tone, but yeah, hopefully you guys will tell me in the comments to this video if I hit the correct color. Putting some more of these artificial trees in here and some more of the huts, just moving the walls from time to time from left to right. And afterwards we are going to connect all the pieces with the little rope bridges that we do have in here for the animal enrichments, which I really do like a lot. yeah, just having to color them as well, because I think they are too colorful in the original. So yeah, we're not building a clown habitat, we are trying to keep it natural. Yeah, some more platforms for the animals. And using those small climbing pieces, yeah, because the bigger ones would, yeah, they would look too weird for those small little monkeys that the capuchin monkeys are. So I decided we're going to use the small ones. We're going to use the bigger ones as well in a later stage, just to give our little tree huts a little bit of support, and as well as the climbing platforms that I used in here. So one more of the fake trees. And I really do like how the whole thing looks at this point. I can remember a time not that long ago, I think a year ago or something like that, where I absolutely hated building climbing frames for all of the animals. Doesn't matter if it is for the cats, for bears, for monkeys or whatever, I hated it because I wasn't that creative about it. And I think at this point I'm not enjoying it thoroughly, but yeah, I don't, let's say it that way, I don't mind it at this point. I don't mind it. I can do it, and yeah, it looks nice, I think. So we're going to move on with the artificial trees on the outside as well, and we're doing something similar that we already did for the inside. We're going to have these little tree huts out here as well. Some of the climbing frames that we had on the inside as well. So we're using those rope bridges, we're using those platforms, we're using those small climbing pieces as well, and to make it look nice and give the animals the ability to fulfill their climbing needs out here as well. So, by looking at it, I thought that it was a little bit too high and our visitors were not able to see the animals that good. So I decided to put the platform a little bit lower so that we can lower down the bridges as well, and our viewers would be able to see the animals when they are looking into the habitat. Using this smaller climbing pieces once again to connect some of the platforms that we don't have those rope bridges everywhere going around, so that we have a little bit more of a variety. Yeah, and here you can see we already are done with all the climbing pieces. What we're going to do now is some terrain work and some rock work, some animal enrichment. Here you can see all the food enrichment items are going to the inside, the toy enrichment items are going on the outside, and that is something that I always tell you guys as well when I'm doing something like this, by separating the area with the food enrichment and the area with the toy enrichment. If I would have put the toy enrichments on the inside as well, we wouldn't have that much of a movement here for the animals. Because if you separate those areas and you have all the food enrichment on the inside and all the toy enrichment on the outside, then you automatically create some movement for the animals. So they have to go inside if they would fulfill their need for food, and they have to go outside if they want to play something. maybe with the ball or with the cardboard box or whatever. So if you do it like this, you automatically create movement in your habitats, because the animals have to go from one point to another to fulfill their needs. Little rock work on the inside as well. I couldn't hide the enrichment item here for the monkeys completely, so yeah, and I felt that I don't have to at that point, because I wanted it to look a little bit more artificial, a little bit more man-made, but also covering it up a little bit by using the faux rocks and the real rocks, and yeah, so that it blends in a little bit more, but still looks somewhat artificial. Using the concrete pillar here for the wooden pillar that I put in here to hold that platform up, because I thought we would need something like a concrete pillar because if we would only have the wooden pillar, it would stand in the water, it would rot from time to time and wouldn't be that stable. So we would need the concrete pillar to give it a little bit more stability and longevity as well. Yeah, all of my favorite plants are in there. And now we can do some more. A little bit of the tree ferns. I didn't want to have too much plants on the inside habitat, so I only put 2 or 3 from of the tree ferns in there, and 2 trees on the outside as well. Not too many big plants on the outside habitat. Oh guys, if you only could hear that, I'm sitting in front of my PC and recording the voiceover for this video, and my cat is right next to me, laying in a box and having a nap, and she's snoring. Why do I always say she? It's a he. He's snoring so loud. I'm wondering if you guys could hear that, but yeah. And he's looking so cute right now. Okay, so the last finishing touches here for the habitat. I thought we need to do something with the entrance to the habitat because it looked so weird. So I decided we're going to use those rock wall pieces here and make it look a little bit more used with those stickers that we do have, and some of the dirt pieces as well. Yeah, and I think it all makes sense now, and it is time for the real-time part. We are finished with our habitat. Well, I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. In the next one, we are going to finish the big Pantanal habitat with the combined habitat for the giant anteater and the Mande Wolf. If you did enjoy today's episode, just leave a like, subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any further episodes. Take a look at my new series with the DLC zoos, which will be released, I don't think this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. And yeah, until that, have a great time, and I hope to see you guys back in Brooksburk Zoo next week again. Bye guys!